There they are. There they are. What's going on, everybody? What is going on? Everybody on this fine Friday morning, December 19th. Man, December 19th. Guys, 2025 is done. Done. It's out the door. Hopefully everybody's having a nice morning. If you're a member, thank you for being here for the second time this morning. We did a member show this morning at 7 a.m. The members did everything for me today. I did nothing. They set up the topics. They made business decisions for the channel. They basically told me what advertisers they want, which ones they don't. I'm just, the members are running everything. They're running everything. I appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Thank you for being here on this Friday morning. Hopefully everybody had a great night last night. Of course, Lakers for the Utah Jazz. End up, what do you call it? Squeaking by, barely got a win. I don't know what you want to call it. We got a lot of good stuff to hit on today. Like I mentioned, a lot of the topics are coming from the members. We're kind of brainstorming this morning. If you're not a member, once a week we do a show together. So we did one this morning, a little prep show, getting ready for this morning show. Got a lot of good topics to hit on as well. Outside of just basketball and the NBA, it's going to be a busy, fun weekend this weekend. If you're a football fan, my God, is this weekend going to be good. College football playoff coming up. Obviously, all the NFL games coming off yesterday's game between the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. One of the best games I've watched in a long time. And it wasn't easy to watch it. I had a post-game Lakers-Jazz game to do. But we got that one in as well. All right, I will take a look at all the comments here in just a little bit. Give everyone a quick rundown what we got going on for the show. Hopefully everybody's enjoying their cup of coffee this morning and looking forward to talk some NBA and some hoops with you guys. So thank you very much for being here. Lakers win last night. What do we make of yesterday's win? What do you make of it? Because I don't think there are too many people walking away with that win saying to themselves, oh, this is perfect. This is great. The Lakers are in a perfect position, perfect spot. I don't think too many people are kind of walking away with that. The Lakers win the game, but clearly the defense, just a real issue for the Los Angeles Lakers. So we'll spend a little bit of time on that. You know, I hope you guys don't think just because the Lakers win, we can't be critical, or just when the Lakers lose, there's nothing positive to talk about. I think all that kind of comes with the territory. So just something to keep in mind in regards to that. Yes, the Lakers won. Yes, there are some positive things to talk about, but I think it's going to be fair to be critical about yesterday's game as well. What's the Lakers' ceiling, by the way? You know, if they stay, if this team is the team that it is, what's the ceiling? How far can this team go based off of the players that they have on this team? And I don't want to hear too much about, Lakers didn't have 8 and they didn't have Austin Reaves. Lauri Markkanen didn't play for the Utah Jazz. That dude's averaging 28 points a night. So I think there's a real question here of the Lakers ceiling and what we like, what we don't like about the roster. But based off of what they have right now, how far can they actually go? We're having a good topic this morning. So talking with some of the members, and a question came up. Who would you want to see stay at the trade deadline? Who would you want to see go at the trade deadline? Basically, what players are there out there that you feel like you have a connection with and that you would hope that in any scenario, I really don't want to see that player leave. I really want to see this player stick around with the Lakers. I'm curious to get people's thoughts because I got a couple of players that I got no problem watching leave. I got a couple of players that I'd be disappointed if we're no longer on the Lakers. So I think I have, certainly from a Laker perspective, a Laker personnel perspective, some players I'd like to see remain as a Laker by the end of the trade deadline. Some people that I think I'd be fine either way. LeBron so far this year. I actually think LeBron's getting better as the season goes on. We'll kind of break down. He's done better as far as expectations go for me. We'll get your guys' thoughts about that. And then we'll also look at what happens when the season ends. Is this thing kind of torn down and it's just Luka and Austin Reaves and then kind of build from there? Obviously, a lot of that's going to depend on what the Lakers do at the NBA trade deadline and what happens with the rest of their players. Lakers versus the Clippers tomorrow. That game's coming up. The 6-20 Los Angeles Clippers. What? How are they so bad? 6-20 Clippers. Why do I feel like tomorrow is going to be actually a good game and Lakers will have to fight and claw to get past the Clippers? I don't know why I feel that way. Maybe it's just because it's Lakers and the Clippers. I'm not 100% sure. Lakers and the Clippers tomorrow. Got some NBA news that we'll hit on. Giannis, the more he talks now, the more I kind of find it annoying, to be honest with you. We'll do the weekend preview. Rams versus the Seahawks. Like I mentioned, we'll talk a little bit about that game yesterday. And then we'll just look at all the other scores going on in the NFL. NFL is back to Saturday games starting tomorrow, and then the college football playoff, and then we will call it a week. So thank you very much for everybody hanging out for the week. Appreciate all the views. Appreciate all the people who have subscribed. Appreciate all the members as well. So thank you very much. Let's take a look at some of the comments, and then we will get this show started. All right, let's see what we have here. Sliwa about to start the show with a freestyle. If only I had that kind of talent. Luka taking too many shots. Want to see a Vando, Smart, and Thero combo for 6-minute stretch. Can I tell you guys something? It's kind of funny. Laker fans have this like true protection of Adu Thero. And I'm not 100% sure what it is. I think because people don't know what he is yet. He's super athletic. He's got great size. But there is this protection of Adu Thero. Like he's been in the league for 6 years. Blood, sweat, and tears on the Lakers every single night. I actually kind of find that funny, but I get it. I kind of understand how that works. All right, we'll get into this a little bit later. What is the Lakers ceiling based on what they got? The two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. Great quote right there. What we got there? It's a different quote. It's not Ocean Breeze there. Look at it. We got other people kind of chiming in with quotes. Utah has crazy talent. How do you get their scouting department? They do have a lot of talent. Now, I think they're a team that's also not trying to win. If someone else had all of your daily habits, would you invest in their company? Good quote right there. Okay. Let me get one more in here, and then we'll kind of start getting the show ready. Be serious. You know, Steve is competing for a championship this year. The West is so good at the top. Just enjoy the show of LeBron's last season and look forward to, okay. I'm going to start that one. We'll come back to it a little bit later, and we'll hit on that one a little bit further in the show. All right, let's get things started here. So Lakers handle business last night. They take care of the Jazz. You know, if I'm just kind of listing out some of the positives and some of the negatives of the show, we'll take our time on this Friday. We're in no rush today. I mean, we're basically reacting to not that entertaining of a game, and let's just say right now the schedule will get a little bit better. When the Lakers played the Phoenix Suns on Monday, I had so much content on Tuesday. So much content. Was that on Sunday? No. They played them on Sunday. I had a lot of content on Monday. And yesterday's game, I'm like, what are we running with today? Luckily, I had a member show, and they were able to help. Here are my takeaways from yesterday's game, and I think this is kind of some additional storylines with the Lakers. Here's the good. The good is it's another win for the Lakers. They kind of cleaned stuff up in the fourth quarter. Maybe there's a little bit of this. They got the ability to kind of turn on when they need to and maybe coast when they don't need to, which is not smart. It's a dangerous way to play basketball. And, you know, you certainly can hurt yourself down the road. But that's kind of, I think that's a little bit of the Lakers right now. I think there's times where they do feel like they can coast. I think there's other times where they don't feel like they can coast, but they're just doing whatever they can to stay into a game. And then they know they got Luka. They know they got LeBron. They know they got some other players that can probably help them get through a game. Luka did that last night. My takeaway from the game last night was awful 3 quarters of defense. One good quarter where the Lakers were, there was a stat I mentioned this yesterday, that ESPN now has, which I think is a good stat. What percentage of the game were you leading? The Utah Jazz were leading 75% of the game yesterday. The Lakers, I think, were 21%. The rest of that time is obviously the game was tied. Well, the only time it really matters when you are leading is towards the end of the game when that final score comes up. And the Lakers in that fourth quarter kind of started taking over the game. Marcus Smart hit some threes. They got some defensive stops. For the first time against a Utah Jazz, they started getting some defensive stops. They did a better job in that fourth quarter against Keontae George, and they pull away. And Luka kind of has those moments where, all right, the game is on the line. If I hit this three, it's a dagger, and that's where he's at his best. Lakers end up winning the game. They run their record to 19-7. I don't think anybody's looking at last night's game and saying to themselves, okay, hey, this is a game that we'll look back on and say this was a great win or it was a turning point in the season. No, what last night was the definition of an 82-game grind. And sometimes you just got to grab a win and move on. But I think for my position and my spot, and getting a chance to talk about the Lakers every single night, I think one of the things that stood out to me is there's also a lot of times where you're watching the Lakers. It's like, yeah, that's going to be a problem. Yep, that's going to be an issue. Yep, if that team was talented and more of a veteran team or a team that was trying to make the playoffs or a team that didn't care about the draft lottery or any of that stuff, then the Lakers could have been in a real dogfight towards the end of that game and probably could have lost that game. It didn't happen. Lakers won the game. You move on. I did like that 6 different players scored in double figures. I do like that that's 2 games in a row for the Lake Show where they got some real bench contributions. Remember the game against the Phoenix Suns? Well, the game against Phoenix, Lakers won the game because of the bench. It was because of Jackson Hayes and Jake LaRavia and Gabe Vincent and trying to think off the top of my head here, Jared Vanderbilt. There was a reason why the Lakers beat the Phoenix Suns, and I think last night you could kind of point at some similar stuff. I thought LaRavia was productive. Vandal comes in, gets 11 rebounds. I want to say 6 or 7 of those were offensive rebounds, or maybe it was 5, whatever the number was. Vandal and his energy. Certainly the Lakers needed kind of help from everybody and got some of the defensive stops that they needed, and they walk away with a win. Now, if I'm going to be critical about the Lakers, you guys can see in the topics here, and I think it's fair that there's certainly going to be areas where we are going to be critical. Being critical it's an easy one, and it's kind of the theme of the Lakers right now, and I think it's the reason why there's always this question about the Lakers right now. They are a very, very poor defensive team, at least over the last 2-3 weeks or so. The way they started the season, they had a lot of grit. They showed a lot of fight. A lot of players were out. And I felt like the Lakers, I even said it, that they play a brand of basketball that you're almost proud of. All right. That doesn't really typically always associate with the Lakers, but that's kind of been the Lakers early in the season. Hey, Luka's out. Doesn't matter. Hey, LeBron's out for the first 14 games. Doesn't matter. Hey, there's games where Reaves, Luka, and LeBron are out. Doesn't matter. They just play hard, take the effort, and sometimes it leads to a W. Sometimes you still take an L, but you appreciated the way they're playing. I don't know what happened to the Lakers defense, but they are a shell of themselves on defense over this last, you can call it 4 weeks or so. Some of it might be effort. Some of it might be personnel. Some of it might be, a lack of emphasis. Some of it might be the grind of an 82-game season. But every single game I walk away from the Lakers right now, there are a lot of times where you're questioning whether, their defense could be any better or this is just who they are. This is their defense. And if this is who their defense is, I mentioned this in the postgame show last night, I'd rather know exactly what my team's flaws are rather than I'm not 100% sure. Sometimes they look great in this category. Sometimes they look bad in this category. I don't know what the Lakers are. I think for the Lakers, it's pretty apparent. They got a superstar, one of the best players in the league that can drop 45, 14, and 11 on any given night, shoot 50% from the field, have 5 steals. And they also have a team, by the way, also have other, good individual players. but they also have a team that could give up 135 against the Utah Jazz without their best offensive player and their best player in Lauri Markkanen. They got a team that could go through moments where they give up 78 in the first half, and then they could also have a quarter where they lock you down and kind of find a way to close out a game. So the Lakers, by definition, are kind of all over the place, but they're 19-7. I was looking at this, and I appreciate the members this morning trying to kind of figure this out here and trying to see, okay, what exactly are the Lakers? And one of the questions came up of, are they a 19-7 team, or are they a little bit of fool's gold here? And that what they've been able to accomplish so far this season, let's look into more of the details of it. How do they look against teams over 500? What's their best win of the season? What are a couple of their best wins just in general? And is the 19-7 really represent what the Lakers are, or is there a little bit? No. Let's kind of look at this with a magnifying glass, and let's figure out if this is a sustainable record or if it's not. And then we'll have a little bit of that conversation of what's the Lakers' ceiling. So I was looking back at the schedule. We could look at this together, and we could point out here. By the way, listen. Am I being critical after a Lakers win? I am, but I think there's a reason why I am being critical. Just wasn't that impressive of a win. Okay, what's the best win that the Lakers have this year? So I got the schedule popped up. If you're listening to this a little bit later on the iHeartRadio podcast, or however you're getting the show from an audio version, obviously you can't see the screen, but I'm showing the screen here. Here are some of the wins that I think the Lakers have had that have been impressive. Okay, let's look at, and I'm just looking at this from a competitive perspective, teams that they've beat, because I know they've had good wins where they didn't have all their players. That's been impressive, but let's look at this. The win against Minnesota early in the season, I do think Minnesota is a lot better than they were in the past. Okay, let's keep going here. The win against San Antonio, no De'Aaron Fox, but Wemby was there. I think that's a pretty good win. All right, let's keep going here. This Milwaukee win I thought was impressive. Lakers played good against the Milwaukee Bucks, no question about that. I thought this Toronto win was a pretty good win. Again, I'm just trying to go off the top of my head. This is the game against the Phoenix Suns. I'll tell you what all these teams have in common of the teams that the Lakers beat, maybe with the exception of, now they played San Antonio more recently. No Wemby in that game. De'Aaron Fox was there. We know what San Antonio did. I would say just from a pure talent perspective, the best win that the Lakers probably have is against the Spurs. If you're just looking at sheer talent, maybe Minnesota in that conversation. Okay. All right. Here's what the Lakers got coming up. Houston will probably be the best team that the Lakers have played all season when they play them on Christmas. Then you don't have to wait too much further, and you got Detroit. How much are people going to take Detroit serious? I'm not 100% sure. You got another game at San Antonio, so they're going to have some games coming up. All right. Games versus teams over 500. Where are the Lakers? Lakers are sitting at 7-5 versus teams over 500. So I looked that one up a little bit earlier. So this kind of gives you just an idea. If we're trying to ask the question, what is the Lakers' ceiling, and can they truly compete for an NBA championship as is without making a move? I think we have our answer. I don't think there's much of a question mark in regards to what the Lakers are right now and what their ceiling is. I'll tell you what their ceiling is. I think the Lakers' ceiling is they can win a series in the first round based on the team that they have. And I think they're going to have a hell of a lot of trouble to try to get out of that second round and try to get to the Western Conference Finals, especially if you're playing Denver, Houston, San Antonio. San Antonio, the one thing that can hurt them is just a lack of experience. Or maybe even if you got OKC in the second round, if you end up in that 4 seed or 4th or 5th seed, and you got, obviously the Oklahoma City Thunder in the second round. Don't we kind of know what the Lakers are? I think we do. I think we have a really, really good definition of what the Lakers are. And I think we have a good idea of what their ceiling is. I think last night is a good example of who the Lakers are. They go through stretches where they look good. They go through stretches where they look awful. They go through moments where their star can take over. And they go through moments where I don't know what they're doing. Giving up layup after layup, wide open three after wide open three. How much of that is just the competition that you're going up against? How much of that is the Lakers just playing with their food a little bit? I don't know. I don't know if I have a full idea about that. But I think I do have an idea of what this Lakers team is. They are a team that has top talent. They have role players that are inconsistent, but when they are good, it kind of changes the level of what the Lakers are. And they're a team that does not have a defense that you can really, really take this team serious without making a move. What do you guys think? Is that a fair assessment of the Lakers? If I'm looking at the Lake Show so far this season, there's a lot of good to talk about. There are some clear flaws, but I think that 19-7 record is a phenomenal record. But I do think you got to look at that record a little bit closer and ask the question of, does that 19-7 record really represent a top 2, top 3 team in the Western Conference? I think it's tough to make that argument. Okay. Let's take a look at some of the comments. Somebody had said something a little bit earlier that I'm going to go back to. Be serious. We know this team isn't competing for a championship this year. The West is so good at the top. Let's just enjoy the show of LeBron's last season and look forward, and Luka look forward to 2027 free agency. Or LeBron's last season and Luka, and then we could look forward to 2027 free agency. Here would be my pushback on that. I only got one thing to push back on that. I don't think the front office and the ownership is sitting back and saying that they're okay with just enjoying LeBron's season, final season potentially. We'll see what happens. We'll talk about LeBron. I got LeBron as one of the topics here. I don't think they're going to sit back and enjoy that. And I also don't think they want Luka to be on a team that kind of points out all these flaws that don't really complement Luka in regards to what he brings to the table. Now, maybe they don't have a choice, and by the NBA trade deadline, they can't make the changes that they need. I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and part of this just has to do with listening to other people talk about the Lakers, getting a vibe from other people about the Lakers. I don't think they're going to sit around between now and the trade deadline. I think the areas that we're talking about that are these big-time flaws, they're going to try to address. It doesn't mean that they're going to be able to address all of them. It doesn't mean that every single thing they do is going to work. It doesn't mean that players that they want, that they think would be really effective on this Lakers team are going to be available. But I think they're going to do everything in their damn power to put together the most competitive team they can for this season without affecting future years, without taking up cap space that they think is not a player that they think is, a part of their future or a part of Luka and AR's future. But I don't think they're going to just stand around. So there is some truth to this. I think the portion about competing for a championship, obviously that's going to be incredibly tough, but I don't think they're going to just stand around. I don't. All right, we got a super here. Shout out. Thank you very much for the super, brother. Appreciate you very much. A quick 5 spot there. Cheers to you for grabbing my coffee. Love your show, but let's be honest. We are going nowhere against Denver or OKC. If you're okay with not competing for a championship, keep this core. Beyond Braun won't win. What really is the core? Isn't the core just Luka and AR right now? I mean, I don't know what DeAndre Ayton's going to end up doing. I don't know if DeAndre Ayton's going to go try to get paid after this season, which he should. I don't know if the Lakers will try to pay him. Rui's in the final year of his contract. What is the core for the Lakers? Like, just being completely honest with you, I don't know if we know what the core is. I think the core, at least up to this point, is Luka and AR, and that's kind of the core. All right, let's get another one in here. Thank you again for the super. I appreciate that. And the part of they got no chance of competing against Denver or OKC. I think anytime you got top-notch talent like Luka, like LeBron, like AR, you can hang in games, but got to be able to get stops, man. You got to be able to play some type of defense. 143 to 135. Luka and LeBron scored 50% of the total points. That's a problem. And needed a 41-point fourth quarter to beat a 10-16 team. Do with that what you will. John, thank you for the super number one. Thank you for also being a part of the member show this morning. I appreciate that. Chiming in and helping out with some of the topics. Got a good topic after this, by the way. Who stays and who goes? That was an interesting conversation we're having with the members. What players you want to see stay after the deadline? What players are you like, yeah, I got no problem if this player is on this team or if this player is gone? I hate how top heavy the Lakers are. Now they had some balance, but I mean, let's be honest here. 45 and 28, that is over 50% of your points. And offense, obviously not a problem with the Lakers. No Austin Reaves, no DeAndre, and they still put up 140 and change. So I think this comment is very fair. 10-16 team, 50% of your total point. You were trailing 75% of the game. I think all that is fair. I think that's is John being critical? I think he is, but I think it's fair. Let's get another one in here. What else do we got here? Get a couple more, and then we'll. I want to start talking about. I want to start talking about the who stays, who goes topic, because I think that's a really good topic. All right, let's see what we got here. Those who question Luka with the bums he has around him are okay. I don't even know, whatever all that means. Are there some bums on this team? Sure, there's some bums. Okay, let's see what else we got here. It's crazy how people want to get back on the AD roller coaster. He won't stay healthy every game of the year. F no. Slee, have you noticed the change in the team vibe since the start of the season? Hate to say it, but LeBron's aura hangs heavy. Okay. All right. So some different angles there. I think some people obviously feel a certain way about the team, about where they're sitting right now. And I think if there's one thing most people agree with is, yeah, there's a little bit of this. I think we could all kind of agree on the flaws that the Lakers have that will eventually come back to bite them in the ass, specifically because they can't. There's two parts of the floor. One part they're awful in, which is the defensive side. The Jazz beat Houston. Guys, it happens all the time. You know who beat Houston yesterday? New Orleans. Good teams lose to bad teams all the time. That happens all the time. But my issue is not a game-to-game basis. My issue is more the totality of what the kind of the foundation of your team is, what the identity of your team is. That's the problem I think I have more so with the Lakers than anything else. The identity of the Lakers is an area of concern. Okay, good stuff right there. Good comments from everybody as well. So I appreciate that. Okay, let's keep rolling here because there are a number of other topics that I want to get into. And like I said, was a good topic with the members this morning, talking about who stays, who goes, what players people have kind of a little bit of a tie to that they want to see stay around, and what players Laker fans I think would be fine to seeing walk away, I guess you want to call it, or get traded away. Before I do so, Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, official injury attorney of Hoops Talk. So shout out to them. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. Really appreciate somebody a couple of days ago sent me a message on Instagram just asking the question, hey, Al, I'm in this type of situation. Do you think Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm can help? All right, let me connect you with him. Waiting for him to send me his email. I'm going to connect him and Brad together and see if he can help. Injury attorney that can represent anybody in the state of California. Serious injury, wrongful death case. They're the best in the business. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. Hope you never need him. If you do, obviously we got to connect here that can help in any of those situations. Got my Wallace Wins Nike hoodie right now. Brad was asking me a couple days ago. I'm working on a new logo. I'm basically at the end here. I'm going to start kind of using a whole new structure for the show and everything else. He's like, all right, when that new logo comes, tell me. I want to print out some shirts. I want to give them away to some listeners. I'm like, all right, done. We'll make that happen. So shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Okay, here's a question I got for everybody. Trade deadline eventually is going to come. What players do you want to see stay with the Lakers? What players would you have no problem if they were no longer on this franchise? Okay, I got some that stand out immediately when I start looking at this Lakers roster. What players I want to see stay? What players I would lose no sleep at all? Let me tell you the first one that comes to mind. This one might be a little bit ruthless, and maybe this has more to do with the totality. I just haven't seen enough production from this person, nor has he been available. If Gabe Vincent's traded tomorrow, I lose no sleep. Gabe Vincent has been a very, very, very disappointing player for the Los Angeles Lakers. Hasn't been available. And as you look at the Lake Show, 3-year, $33 million contract. Tell me when Gabe Vincent has been a player that you're like, oh, man, remember this stretch of Gabe Vincent? Because I can't find it. And then you get occasional nights where I'm like, hey, Gabe was really productive. But when does that come? When does that come? Once every 3 weeks? Gabe Vincent traded tomorrow. Doesn't matter to me, and I lose no sleep over that. All right, let me give you some more players that if they were traded, I'm probably not losing any sleep over if they're no longer on the team or the roster. Dalton Connect. There's another player that, unfortunately for the Lakers, unfortunately for Dalton Connect, what is his value for the Lakers at this point? A couple of games ago, he drops 30 in a G League game, and I had people trying to tell me, hitting me on X saying, did you see what does it matter? I mean, listen, good for him. I want him to have 30-point games in the G League because my hope is that eventually helps him with the Lakers. But I don't think the coaching staff has any faith in him anymore, and he looks lost a lot of times when he's on the floor. Those are two players that stand out to me right out the gate. If the Lakers were to make a trade and those two players are gone, I'm not losing any sleep over that. I'm throwing another one, which probably would be part of a deal just to make contracts work. Maxi Kleber. There's another one for you. Those are the three players right off the top of my head that if the Lakers are making a move and those three guys were gone, sounds good. No problem. All right, then there's some players that I'd like to see the Lakers keep that I think do have value for the Lakers. And if I'm another team, I'm trying to get one of these guys. Rui, I've had the conversation with already that the Lakers are just not talented enough where they really do need this depth, that it's important to have Rui Hachimura part of this team, past the trade deadline, because you just need depth. You need guys. Rui's on that list for me. Jake LaRavia is on that list for me. I don't want to see LaRavia go anywhere. I want to see Jake LaRavia be a part of the Lakers, and hopefully more and more contributions for Jake LaRavia. Okay, let me throw another player away. By the way, I think there are names out there that I just don't think the Lakers are going to trade, so I'm not even going to bring up. I don't think Ayton's going anywhere. I don't think Austin Reaves is going anywhere. I don't think Marcus Smart is going anywhere. So there's some names that I just don't think guys are going to be going anywhere. So players that I want to keep. Jake LaRavia, I would want to keep. Rui, I would want to keep. I made this comment a little bit earlier that I feel like a lot of people are putting their foot down and doing everything they can to try to make sure Adu Thero stays on the Lakers. If I'm another team, I'm trying to get Adu Thero in a trade. I am. I think he's talented. I think he's young. I think he's going to need time. I think he's incredibly raw, but Adu Thero is a guy that I'd like to keep if I'm the Los Angeles Lakers. And then a player I'm kind of in the middle on, Vando. Vando I'm maybe a little bit indifferent of. If he stays, cool. Use that defensive player. If he goes, then I don't think that can stop. He's got obviously some areas of his game where he struggles in. So I think there's a piece of his game where it's like, all right, if he doesn't make it, then he doesn't make it. Those are some of the names that kind of stick out to me right out the gate. If you told me Maxi Kleba, Gabe Vincent, Dalton Connect are not on this team, I just don't know really what the value of all three of those players are. Players that I don't think are going to go anywhere. I don't think that, obviously the Aitons of the world, the Reaves of the world. There are some players on the roster I don't think are going to go anywhere. Marcus Smart, I think another one of those names. Some of that just has to do with the contract. Some of that has to do with they need those players, low risk players. And then some guys that I'd like to see on this team. Rui, I'd love to see past the trade deadline. The world wouldn't end, but I just think they need the talent, and it depends on what you're getting back. Adu Thero, I mentioned. Jake LaRavia, I mentioned. So those are some of the guys that I would say, guys that I'd like to see stay with the Lakers, and guys that if they're gone, you're like, all right, they're gone. Let me take a look at some of the comments here. Let's see what we got here. Why would anyone want to be a Laker fan? All Laker fans do is lobby for trades and show no loyalty to the players they have. I think one of the biggest problems, I would say, with the Lakers over the years, you're always trying to hit a home run. Always trying to hit a home run. Here's the problem with the Lakers. Sometimes they can hit home runs. Anthony Davis, obviously traded for Luka. Got Pau Gasol back in the day. The Lakers have been able to go swing for the fences and connect. So the franchise is known for that. The one area I would say, and this to me is going to be most curious with the new ownership that comes in, how much is there going to be, we also draft and we develop and we stick with players longer and we let things marinate longer. We don't need to marinate on Gabe Vincent. We know what Gabe Vincent is. They're fine. They signed him to a contract. He's been on this team for a while. The Dalton, if you want to make a case that Lakers would be giving up on Dalton Connect too early, you can make a case for that, but I don't think Dalton Connect is helping himself. All right, let's see what else we got here. Seems like Jake playing better since LeBron returns. Yeah, the times I like Jake LaRavia the most, to be honest, is when LaRavia is asked to play no offense. Just Jake LaRavia is just himself. He's not trying to be something that he's not. To me, that's when he's the absolute best, is when he has a little bit more of an all-around game that I think is more effective for the Lakers, more effective for him. If you're asking Jake LaRavia to go create some offense, I don't think that's his game. If you're asking him to go grab some rebounds, make the right basketball play, and be opportunistic on offense, I think that's when he's at his best. Okay. Why not listen to offers for AR? I'm not telling you don't listen to offers. Certainly the Lakers, it'd be foolish for them not to listen to offers. You listen to everything. I just don't think anything's going to come to fruition. And I think with the Lakers, how they value AR and what they think he is in this league and what they think he could be with Luka Doncic and kind of building around those two players, I just don't think there'll be a trade that presents itself. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are some players, but I don't think anybody should say, don't listen to offers for Austin Reaves. I don't think that would be smart. Let's see what we got here. Rui off the bench. Well, that means, obviously you're going to need talent in there. If the solution is have Marcus Smart start, that's a different conversation. I don't think Austin Reaves is coming off the bench. The DK ship has sailed. You might be right on that. The Lakers need to trade AR now while his value is high. Luka and AR is the weakest defensive backcourt in the league. We will not win a championship. I don't think a lot of people disagree with you on that. I think there's a lot of people that agree that that's going to be an issue. I would say re-sign Austin Reaves and then cross that bridge when you get there. But the only way the Lakers are going to be a true competitive team is if they have a really, really good team around everybody else, including those two players that complement what those two players bring to the table. We should have gone through with that Mark Williams trade. I disagree. Ayton was a better discount, has been playing good all season, and the Lakers kept some assets. They kept their first rounder as well. So I disagree. I think they're fine with what they got. Gabe was a beast in preseason. I'm with you on that. Preseason Gabe. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Guy was playing good, and then all of a sudden the regular season started. Laravia is only 23. He will only get better. I'm a fan of his. I just want a little bit more consistent play. Okay, let's keep things moving here. I got a question for everybody. By the way, let's talk LeBron here for a quick second. Preseason game. That's not good. I don't think you want that title. We got a fun sports weekend coming up, man. There's a lot of good games coming up this weekend. I'm not even talking about the NBA. And then the NFL starts back up again on Saturdays. The NFL, just a beast. All right, let's talk LeBron here for a quick second. So I'm gonna share my screen here with everybody, and let's look at LeBron's stats specifically. And I want to have the conversation about LeBron. So LeBron now has played, I think, 10 games all season now. LeBron's at 10 games. And I think we were talking about, really truly assessing LeBron when you get about 20, 25 games in, something along those lines. So here's LeBron now 10 games in. And I want people's opinion of what they've thought about LeBron so far this season. If they feel like it's getting better, if they feel like he's improving. Listen, let me just kind of say this, and I'll give you guys my opinion in regards to LeBron. I was very, very concerned the way he started the season. I do think he's getting a little bit better. Here's LeBron so far. About 18.5 points per game, just under 6 rebounds, about 7.5 assists per game, 47% from the field. He is looking better. Again, is it the LeBron you're accustomed to? Of course it's not, and it can't be. But let me just kind of point out these last 4 games or so, okay? Philly game, shot 70% from the field, 29, 6, and 7. Won the Lakers that game. Game against San Antonio, 19 and 8, also 15 rebounds, shot 50% from the field. Game against the Suns, 26 points, shot 47% from the field, awful from the three-point line, and 8 turnovers, so not the best game for LeBron. And then yesterday, 28, 10, and 7, 47% from the field. Obviously, LeBron, numbers continue to improve. Got to be honest with you. I'm a little surprised that LeBron is starting to look more like himself. I'm a little bit surprised that he's starting to look a little bit more fluid. His body doesn't look like there was a point to start the season. And, to give credit to a lot of people on the chat, a lot of people were telling me when the season had started, it's like, Al, the guy didn't play any preseason. He didn't have a training camp. So you can't assess him after 3-4 games. Let's give him 15 or 20 games. Well, he's 10 games in now. I think the stats, if I'm going to be honest with you, I got no problem with the stats. Just the sheer numbers. 18, 7, and 6, somewhere around there. Okay. Especially if you're going to have AR doing what he's doing and Luka obviously doing what he's doing. LeBron has looked better. Not telling you he's great, not telling you he's perfect, not telling you there aren't moments where obviously on the defensive side that he struggles, not telling you that there are times where things look fluid with him. They don't look fluid with him. I do think he's had some kind of weird times in some of the lineups when Luka's on the bench, and he's done really good with some of the other players that are out there, and the ball moves a little bit more crisp. But I think he's done better than I thought. I really do. I think he's having just a little bit better of a season so far that I wasn't exactly expecting. So I'm curious to see what people think and if people agree with me on this or if they disagree. But I feel like what my expectations were for LeBron and what I saw in the first 5, 6 games from LeBron, he's starting to kind of look more like himself. And the body is looking a lot better than I thought it'd be holding up. Him coming off the injuries, sciatica, all this other stuff, all this other complications that he had earlier in the season, kind of, or before the season started, looking better than I thought. Let's take a look at some of the comments here. See what we got. Let's see what we got here. Anyone who puts a ceiling on LeBron or AR gets humbled quickly. You know what I think it is? More than anything else, I think it's more that I think more than anything else, it just has to do with AR is a different conversation. I think with LeBron, it just has to do with his age. That's it. That's, I think, more the ceiling. All right, let's see what we got here. Don't look at LeBron yet. Still ramping up. Bron will average at least 22. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Evaluating LeBron during the regular season is casual behavior. Now, guys, listen, when you're in your 23rd season in the NBA and he started the way he did, naturally you're just waiting for his body to break down. How can you not be waiting for his body to break down? It's not doing it. And he continues to kind of, I think, surprise people, at least for me. These last few games, I feel like, you know what, he's starting to look a little bit more like himself. So assessing LeBron so far, not mad at it. I would think that LeBron, especially the way he started the season, would be doing a lot worse. That has not been the case. All right, let's get to a couple more comments here. Let's get one here. Want to compete for championships the next few years. I only want Luka. This team needs a serious upgrade. I'm done with mediocrity at this point. Well, it might be a process, I'll tell you that. Thank you for the super, by the way. I appreciate it. If you don't want mediocrity, this is what I would tell you. I think that unless they start building a team that actually has defensive players that fit around the superstar and Luka Doncic, I think that's kind of what you're going to get, right? A good record, win in the first round, depending on matchups, get to the second round, and then just kind of face a wall because other teams just have a little bit of everything. Take a look at another one here. John, thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate you. By the way, thank you for the supers. Very, very kind of you guys. A 5 spot here, a 10 spot here. Mimic Dallas finals roster. Keep Ayton, Vando, and Smart. The question is, can AR be the equivalent of Kyrie in that role? That's what LeBron's presence hammers now. We can't see if AR is a true number 2. I don't think AR is a true number 2. I think AR has got to be the third best player on a championship team. So I think if that tells you something right there, at least AR with Luka, right? I think if you told me AR is the second best player on your team, I don't think you're winning a championship. If you told me AR is the third best player on your team, or there's an equivalent, Luka's the best player, there's another player that's really, really good, and maybe him and AR kind of complement each other and are the second 2A and 2B, if you want to call it. Lakers mimicking the Dallas roster. That's what I was saying a little bit earlier. I was talking a little bit about that there is kind of a piece of the Lakers right now that if you are looking at, well, what's the blueprint to win? The blueprint to win for the Lakers. And by the way, Luka didn't win the whole thing. He faced a team in the Boston Celtics that was better because they had more players that can defend. They were able to throw more defenders at Luka. Luka didn't have a phenomenal finals. So even if you mimic Dallas's roster, that doesn't even mean you're getting out of the Western Conference. John, thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate you. Okay, let's look at a couple more of these here. He isn't a number 2. This is sad that people think he is. Well, technically, he's a number 2 right now for the Lakers. And in order for the Lakers, I do believe this. I'm just being honest here, I don't think if Austin Reaves is the second best player on your team, I don't think you're winning a championship. Let me give you guys an example. Let's look at the last couple of number twos on a championship team. And you guys tell me if this is a comp or if it's not. Let me give you guys some examples, okay? When the Oklahoma City Thunder won an NBA championship, who was the second best player? You can argue that it was Jalen Williams or Chet Holmgren, but I think I'd lean towards Jalen Williams. Would you rather have Jalen Williams or Austin Reaves? It's not a conversation. It's not a conversation. By the way, even Chet Holmgren, you could say, okay, well, the guy, he's complements. If you said Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren they both have equal value. Again, I'm just talking out of my ass here, but look at their games. They're so much different. There's not that they don't, their games complement each other. They're not repetitive. So I'm just using as an example of a championship roster. The Oklahoma City Thunder won a championship. Who was the second best player on the Oklahoma City Thunder was Jalen Williams, and right close behind was Chet Holmgren. Would you rather have Jalen Williams or would you rather have Austin Reaves? You would rather have Jalen Williams. Okay, let me give you another example. Who won the championship the year before that? It was the Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum was the best player on the team. Who was the second best player on that team? It was Jaylen Brown. Would you rather have Jaylen Brown or Austin Reaves? It's not a conversation. It's not a topic. And this isn't even me trying to take shots at Austin Reaves. What I'm trying to tell you is for a championship roster, there are levels. I mean, for the love of God, when the Lakers were winning with Kobe and Powell was the second best player on the team. Look how those two players complemented each other. Look how when it was Kobe and Shaq, how they complemented each other. So I think if we're trying to make an argument about Austin Reaves cannot be the second best player on a championship roster. He has to be the third best player on a championship roster. And I actually genuinely feel that. So now the question is, how do you get your roster to where Austin Reaves is the third best player, or Austin Reaves is kind of like the Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams conversation? It's like, yeah, either one of these guys can be the second best player on any given night. Now you're having a real conversation about a championship roster. But what you can't have happen is Austin Reaves is clearly the second best player on a championship team. That ain't going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. All right, let's look at some more of the comments. It's a good observation that you guys had here. Those second options can defend. By the way, that's a big reason why I'm saying he can't be the second best player on a team. I think one of the most underrated players in the NBA is Jaylen Brown. My personal opinion. I think Jaylen Brown can be a number one on 50% of the teams out there in the NBA. I think Jaylen Brown's an absolute stud. What makes Boston so good is he's the number two. But Jaylen Brown can have as good of a night as Jason Tatum on any given night. But Jaylen Brown can also defend, and he's a champion that can guard multiple positions and sacrifices his own game because he knows if I sacrifice my own game, we got a shot at winning an NBA championship. That's what makes Jaylen Brown so brilliant. Trying to think here, some of these now you're starting to see the San Antonio Spurs. Look how many different guys that they have outside of Wemby, outside of De'Aaron Fox, that you're like, Jesus, this guy can defend. He's athletic. He attacks the basket. He can hit threes. I'm talking about all the other players on the San Antonio Spurs. Who's the second best player on your team does say a lot of what your team is. If you told me the Lakers, hypothetically speaking out of my ass, they had Luka Doncic and they had Jaylen Brown, all right, now you're talking. Now you got two guys that their strengths are opposite. So something to keep in mind in regards to that. All right, let's take a look at some more comments here. Reaves is too efficient to not be the second option. Too efficient to not be the second option. Yeah, I think it's more if let me tell you, let's say Austin Reaves played for the Denver Nuggets and Jamal Murray wasn't there. I don't know. I don't know the comp I'm trying to give here. What I'm trying to say, I guess, is that Austin Reeves' game is so much different than Aaron Gordon and so much different than Nikola Jokic that the three kind of that ecosystem works together. So that's more of the idea there. LeBron is third option, trying to use politics to become the second option again. I don't agree with that. LeBron is the third option. Yeah, I think it depends. Sometimes he's the third option, sometimes he's not. Kind of just depends. But I think you guys can see you're asking LeBron, obviously, to at times to do too much just based on his age and how long he's been in the league. Okay, let me get a couple more in these here. John, thank you for another 10 spot, brother. Hey, you keep sending them. I'll keep reading them. Thank you, man. That's my issue with LeBron supporters. He says we are casuals judging him in the regular season. How have his recent playoff performances been? They are 2-12 in their last 14 playoff games. Here's the problem, John. I think if you're saying that the Lakers are 2-14, 2-12 in their last 14 playoff games, let's see, yeah, you're right. 2 losses to Denver. They go 1-8, and then they go 1-4 last year against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Here's my issue with that narrative, and this is the only point that I'm trying to make here. But that's putting all the blame that it's LeBron's fault that the Lakers lost to Denver. It's LeBron's fault that the Lakers lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Does nobody else get blame in that? Nobody else gets blame in that? Does AD get no blame in that? Do some of the role players get no blame in that? Does Austin Reaves get no blame in that? Does the Lakers front office get no blame in that? Does Darvin Ham, JJ Redick, does nobody else get any blame for that? Or is it just all LeBron? That's my issue with some people that hate on LeBron. So you tell me that's your issue with LeBron supporters. My issue with people that are always pointing the finger at LeBron, it's like, no, there's no other issue. It's just LeBron. That's my issue with people that go at LeBron every time. So maybe there's a middle ground here. But that's what I would say in regards to, obviously some of the comments around LeBron. It's like everything is LeBron's fault when they lose. And then if they win, you're trying to kind of distribute the credit in other places. Again, not everybody, but I think a lot of times we fall into that category. All right. Let's see what we got here. A lot of good stuff here. And, this kind of took an interesting turn. I never really thought about that. And I think that's a good topic in itself. Can you win a championship with Austin Reaves as the second best player on your team? And my answer is no, you can't. You can't. For all the examples that I gave and looking at all these other teams there that are in the mix here, go look at the second best player on their team. It's why I don't think the Pistons can win an NBA championship. Not yet. I just, first off, they're really young and they're playing really good and they're playing damn well. Can the Knicks win with Karl Anthony Towns as the second best player on the team? Probably. They probably can, but that's also because OG Anunoby is there and Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart, and there's all these other players that make sense. They fit. All right, let's keep rolling here. A lot of topics I haven't even got into yet, but we're not going to hit on everything that I have here. I think we're already at basically an hour in. Let me just talk here real quick, and we could kind of start working on the weekend preview, and we'll start flying through some of this, and then I'll spend a little bit of time coming back here and looking at everybody's comments as well. Before I do so, shout out to Harris Resort, Southern California. HarrisSoCal.com is the website that you can go to. But Harris Resort, Southern California. This is the first week of their partnership. They're here for a full season, so they'll be with us. Excited to have them be a part of the partnership and be a part of the show and the channel. Really, really great story to tell here. First off, they got one of the most beautiful resorts in all of Southern California. I don't care where you are in SoCal. You could probably get there within an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours max, just depending on what part of Southern California that you're in. Here's what I love about them. Here's what I love about the partnership. I've known the main people at this property now for, honestly, probably close to 10 years or so. And here we are now working together. They were with me when I was on radio, just like the Wallace firm. So I love this, that these relationships are also coming with me as I continue to do things on my own independently. It's a beautiful property. Why go through that? I always say this. I used to say this when I was on radio all the time. Do you know how difficult and expensive it is right now to go on a vacation? Why do that when you could go take one of those staycations? You drive an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours away. You go to a beautiful resort. It's in North San Diego. It's an area called Valley Center. It's super. The drive is beautiful, by the way. It kind of takes you off the freeways, all the rolling hills, the beautiful mountains. But you can go to a resort. You don't have to pay for a flight. You don't have to go through a headache of going to an airport or any of that stuff. And you get a beautiful staycation. If you want to look for a getaway, harrissocal.com, go to the website. And I can't wait to start this partnership where I'm going to be doing some broadcasts from there and certainly have some opportunities for listeners to come hang out with me as well. Shout out to Harris Resort. Go to Harris SoCal today if you're looking for some type of a getaway, and I'm sure you can get it from there. Okay. I do want to start here. I want to start getting into our weekend preview here. There's a lot to preview. This weekend. A lot going on. One of the things to preview as well, we got Lakers taking on the Los Angeles Clippers. That's coming up tomorrow. Something to keep in mind. That game's 7:30 tip-off. It's a Clippers home game. 7:30 tip-off. Weekend preview, by the way, presented by the Wallace firm. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. Okay, here's what we got here. Got all my topics laid out here for the weekend preview. Lakers and the Clippers. Clippers are just awful. How are the Clippers 6-20 on the season? My God, how bad are they? I think I said yesterday they've lost 10 of their last 11 games. They are just terrible. And watch, they're going to play a freaking good game tomorrow. 7:30 tip-off. Obviously, I mentioned it's at the Intuit Dome, so keep in mind for tomorrow. The only question that I have here, we'll find out a little bit later. Austin Reaves, DeAndre Ayton, maybe they're coming back. Hopefully the Lakers can be fully healthy tomorrow. Even Gabe Vincent, even though I know I go at Gabe, hopefully they can get him back as well. So that's what we got going on for the Lakers this weekend. So something to keep in mind in regards to that. Lakers and the Clippers coming up tomorrow. And we'll see, obviously, how the Lakers hang with that. Couple stories around the NBA. Oh, let's first do this real quick. NBA scores tonight, or the games tonight. I'm just going to point out what I think are good games. Spurs-Hawks, not bad. 19-7 versus 15-13. Heat and the Celtics, that's always a fun game. Thunder at the Timberwolves, 25-2 versus 17-10. I'm in on that one. I want to see what that game looks like. That's going to be fun. All right, couple stories around the NBA. Won't spend too much time on this, but I saw this. Giannis. The Giannis stuff is just annoying now. Giannis says he's locked in. If my agent is talking to the Bucks about it, he's his own person. He can have any conversation he wants. At the end of the day, I personally have not had the conversation with the Bucks. I'm still locked in on my teammates. Most importantly, locked in on getting back healthy. Kind of sick of the Giannis story. Got to be honest with you. I'm sick of talking about the Bucks. I'm sick of Giannis indirectly telling the Bucks that he's leaving and then not actually leaving. Giannis is that partner that wants to break up with their significant other and just can't do it. And everybody knows it's going to end. He just can't do it. I don't know what to tell you. The Bucks conversation is honestly, it's become annoying, and the Bucks are still all in on Giannis, even though we all know he's going to end up leaving. Jokic breaks a record. He broke on Thursday. He broke the NBA record for career regular season assists by a center. passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. How crazy is this? Jokic got the assists. He broke the record in 771 games. It took Kareem 1,560 games to do it. So in about half of the games, Jokic breaks the record. Greatest passer, big man passer of all time, it's not even close. So Nikola Jokic accomplishes something that's pretty damn cool. Okay, let me jump to the NFL. Rams and the Seahawks yesterday. What an incredible game. Rams go up 30-14. I know they were up 16. Give up a kickoff return. I think it was a punt return. Seattle gets a 2-point conversion. They get within 8. It's 30-22. Seattle scores again. 30-28. They screw up on the 2-point conversion, and then all hell breaks loose. Does somebody want to explain to me? I've never seen this before in my life. If those that haven't gone back and looked at the 2-point conversion, here's what Sean McVay said. He said, very interesting. Didn't get a clear explanation of everything that went on just because some of the timing of it. I've never seen anything or never been a part of anything like that, and I've grown up around the game. He says they don't want to make any excuses. Just wanted clarity and an understanding of the things that we can do to minimize that when we rejected the 2-point conversion. Puka Nacua tweeted, appreciate you, Stripes, for your contribution. For those who didn't see it, apparently it was a backward pass. I guess the play was live then. No whistles were blown. Seattle eventually gets the ball in the end zone, and it is a 2-point conversion. They tie the game at 30. Look, Rams had their chances. They score in overtime. They score a touchdown. Seahawks come all the way back. They score a touchdown, and they say, we're going for the kill. They go for 2. They win 38-37. One of the best NFL games that I've seen in a really, really long time. Just a phenomenal NFL game. So just a 2-11-3 teams. Just an incredible, incredible game in the NFL last night. Okay, some scores coming up over the weekend. Saturday, tomorrow, NFL, Eagles and the Commanders at 2 o'clock. Packers and the Bears at 5:20 tomorrow. Phenomenal game. All right, some games of significance on Sunday. Chargers will take on the Cowboys. What was the other good game that I saw here? Jaguars 10-4 take on the 12-2 Broncos. Really good game there. Steelers and the Lions, 2 8-6 teams. And then the Patriots and the Ravens on Sunday Night Football. Niners and the Colts will play on Monday night. So a lot of good games in the NFL tomorrow. And then the last thing I'm going to bring up, if you're a college football fan and you want some college football playoff games, get ready because it's all starting tonight. Tonight you got Alabama and Oklahoma will play at 5 p.m. Tomorrow you got James Madison versus Oregon, Tulane versus Ole Miss tomorrow as well, and then Miami and Texas A&M. So those are the games. Obviously, you got some buys that are coming up as well. So those are going to be all the games in regards to college football. All right, let me take a look at a couple more comments, and then we're going to get out of here. You guys keep sleeping on Mark Walters and Luka punching air at your LeBron posters as they chip away at his legacy. Okay. Puka has been going after the referees recently with no remorse. He has been. That part is true. Okay. Keep going here. Let's see what else we have here. I honestly think Adu can contribute more than Gabe or Maxey right now. 15 minutes a game wouldn't hurt the team and will only help him improve. Okay? Rams should have won, shaking my head. They should have won that game. Kind of choked it away, if I'm going to be honest. Kind of choked it away. All right, let's get another one in here. Final one. Let's see. Final comment of the week. So you gotta form a super chat to combat Lakers collective, maybe the Locked On Brothers. No. You got no issue with any of that stuff. A lot of Lakers content out there. Let that content do its thing. As long as people are watching, that's all that matters. All right, everybody, that's all we got. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you guys hanging out for the show. Thank you very much for being a part of it all week. I'm back on tomorrow after the Lakers take on the Los Angeles Clippers. We'll do a post-game show. Thank you again very much for being here. And also thank you to the members that came on this morning. Thank you, everybody. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your Saturday. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Lakers and the Clippers.